Hi everybody and welcome to Unwind Design. My name is Kim. I'm your instructor for today. So just to let you know what we have in front of us, let's start off. We have our canvas, 11 by 14 size canvas. Next, we have our fan. If you have an outlet nearby, you can also use a hair dryer or a piece of cardboard, anything that'll help you do the drying process a little bit faster because we will be painting in layers, which means we'll need to have the back layer dry before we can move on to the following layer that goes in front. So if you have a fan, if you have, again, a piece of cardboard, a book, or maybe even a hair dryer, if you happen to have an outlet nearby, this would be the perfect thing for you guys to use. Next, we have our water on the right hand side, and we have our brushes. Our brushes are our large background brush, our medium square brush, our round tip brush, and our detail brush. Okay, so these are the brushes that we use for most of our classes and the ones we'll be using for today. Next, make sure you have a towel to be able to dry off your brushes, and then we'll be moving on to our colors. So the colors we're going to be using today are going to be purple and pink. If you don't have these two colors, you don't need them. You can just use these four. So the four colors that we're going to be using are going to be white, red, blue, and black. Okay, pink we can make with red and white, and purple we can make with blue and red. But if you have extra colors and you want to use them, go ahead and pour them on there. These are the colors we're going to be going in with, and that way we can speed up the process a little faster if we already have them made. All right, so next I want to bring up how much water you guys add to your painting. It's really important. This paint is very sticky, guys, so we want to add water to make it nice and soft, to make the paint, one, last longer, and two, give us a really pretty look, kind of faded. If you're painting with sticky paint, you're going to get a sticky painting. Okay, so we want to make it nice and soft. Make sure that it's not see-through, or you're not going to get any paint in there. You have mostly water and just a little bit of paint. So make sure you mix your water real well into your paint so that it's not see-through. And that way we can make this painting nice and even, and we don't have to go in and apply so many layers, okay? So starting off today, we are gonna be picking up our large background brush. So our brush is like a sponge. Whenever we put it in our water, it soaks up all that water. So we have to make sure to use the hairs uh, in the appropriate way by mixing them in, using the hairs to mix the water in with the paint very well. So we have to remember, when we squeeze, the water is going to splash out. So we want to come in and make sure that it's very well blended into our paint. Okay, and we're going to start off with our horizon line. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit of this pink. Okay, making sure that all the water is out of my brush so it doesn't surprise me later by splashing everywhere on my canvas. Okay, again, if it's too sticky and you think you can make it a little bit more elastic and rubbery, add more water to it, and that'll make sure that it lasts longer. Perfect. So we're going to start off first on top, coming in with our light pink. Okay, I'm coming back down with my pink. Notice I still haven't gone down half my page. I'm still in the top part of my page. So I'm coming in, I'm spreading that pink back and forth. Okay, I'm starting to come down. I'm going to add more pink as I'm going lower, making it a little bit darker. Okay, I'm going to start bringing it even lower. So again, if you don't have pink, you can make it mixing your red and your white. And you don't have to pick pink in the background. Your background could be red if you want it to be. Okay, as we're going lower, I'm adding just a little bit more red or less white, making it a little bit darker. You see that? We want our sky to get darker, so we're adding just a little bit more of that red. Remember to bring the color towards the outside of the canvas, on the sides as well. Very lightly though, we are gonna have more blue on those edges. Okay, and we want the darkness to get softer little by little. We want to make this transition in the sky. Okay, so we stop to press as hard as we were pressing before, and we start to go over it very lightly. See if that's a little too dark, you can always come back with a little bit more white and soften that up. Okay, we want it lighter towards the top and we want it darker towards the bottom half of our canvas. Okay, so you're coming down with a little bit more of that red pink. And there we go. So from here, we're going to leave it about maybe this high. We're going to cut the bottom half in half and we're going to paint that top half of the bottom of the canvas. Okay. So we're leaving about a fourth still open. So as we're waiting for this to dry, we're going to come in with some blue. I'm going to add just a little bit of white into that blue, just a little bit, not a lot. I still want it to be dark. And I'm going to start to brush it in the sky partially. So I'm starting to leave some sections. And notice that when I'm pulling in my color, I'm leaving all these scratches. Okay. So I'm grabbing my blue and I'm scratching it in, leaving some patchy sections. See, now it's starting to look patchy. Now it's starting to look like the pink is in between the blue there. Okay, we do still want to see some pink. We don't want to take over all of it. Okay, we're coming down, grabbing some more of that blue. This one I'm actually brushing completely across very lightly. I'm doing that towards the bottom. Here I'm going to start to make it a little bit more complicated. There's more blue mixed into my pink. Hopefully my pink is still wet. So that we can start making some purple. Okay, so I'm coming back, picking up a little bit more of that blue, and I'm starting to just kind of scratch it in a little bit, making it look like we have all these clouds over the top. There we go. You see how we're starting to scratch it into the sky now? And we're starting to get this really pretty fade. I'm going to go in there with just a little bit of white, and I'm going to add some white to my blue. I'm scratching it on very lightly. When you press hard, you start to release your paint on the sides, and it starts to leave really messy lines, okay? When you go over it very lightly, you're just kind of evening out the paint so that it blends in with the paint that is below. So after a while, it starts to get blended in and you get a smooth look. And that's what we're trying to do here, except that we're not trying to make it all one color. We're just trying to blend this section in so that we can't see those lines so obviously. And it looks more like a shadow more than anything. See, so I'm going over it very lightly. There's hardly any pressure on my brush. Okay, so we do want to leave plenty of that pink there. If you want to come in with your purple and you want to add a little bit of purple to that sky, you can go ahead and do that. Kind of mix that in there as well. You can come in with a little bit more pink and start to work in some of that pink inside. Some of the sections that you may have colored in, you can go in there with more pink. You can go into the blue slightly and just kind of play with it. Look at how pretty that's looking in there with all that color. We're still trying to leave this main focus in the middle there. We're not trying to crowd that one so much. Again, I'm going to come back and just kind of blend this in a little bit. Perfect. As we start going to the bottom is going to be blue with a little bit of black. Okay, just a little drop of black. And you can even add a little drop of white. We want to make it kind of like a gray blue. And that's what we're going to be painting the bottom of our water with, a gray blue. Again, the bottom is going to be our blue mixed with some black and a drop of white to give us a slight gray blue color for our water below. Okay, before we move on, I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight here, and then we're going to blow dry it again. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of instruction on how to do that. We're picking up some white, we're mixing it with our pink, or we're picking up our red, the same color we've been using, and we're just going to scratch that very lightly on our water. Okay, we are going to have some highlight here. From the sky on our water. So you guys need to come in and just add a little bit more of that color on here scratched. You want it more on the darker pink side. Again, we're going to keep working on this reflection on the water, nice and soft. We don't want to add too much water here. We want it to be a little scratchy so that it can leave those scratchy lines on the edges. Right here in the corner where our sky meets our water, we're coming in with a little bit of pink and white. Okay, and to that we're going to add a drop of gray. We want to make it a little bit darker. So again, we're adding a drop of gray, and it's white, red, and black. We're starting to get this dark gray here. So with this gray, we're gonna come in and we're just gonna bring in a line from the tip up to the end. And we want this to be nice and thin. We don't want it to be thick. All right, guys, so moving on, we are now going to be working on we're going to actually add some lightning right now. So let's go in and pick up our round tip brush. And we're going to begin to add some lightning in our sky. Okay, we're going to start off up here. Just going to make a little line. We're going to make another little line here, and this is going to guide us as to where our clouds are going to have to be. Okay. Right here at the bottom, I'm doing another little line. Coming down at an angle from my left, right before we reach halfway of the canvas, we're starting to angle some lines here. Okay. So we have this one, and this same top line is going to be next to it. So there's going to be a couple there. And let me show you what these are. So this is where we're going to be connecting our line. So we're coming in and we're just going to kind of just wiggle a line down. Okay. Right here, this line is actually going to connect partially. We're not connecting it all the way through. We're skipping a space. But here, we're going to start to just wiggle it down to make our lightning super epic. There's one. This one parts into a Y. Halfway along the middle, it's going to part into another Y there. Okay. Next, in one of these corners up here, we're going to come out. We have more of lightning coming down that way. More of that lightning strike. Okay. Next, from this space that we added over here, we're going to kind of replicate it just a little bit. We're going to make it just a little bit smaller. And we're wiggling this line down also. Okay, we're gonna have to go in there with a little bit more white after. Okay, so now that we've drawn where our lightning is gonna be at, we kind of have an idea as to where our clouds are gonna be. So we're picking up I'm gonna pick up my square brush. You can use your round tip brush if you want to. But I'm gonna use my square brush, and I'm gonna be using it like that. I'm gonna use the corner of my brush to make my rounds on my clouds. So my clouds are gonna be blue with actually a little bit more than a drop of black. We want our clouds to be nice and dark, but we still want to have some blue in there. See that? It's kind of like a really deep navy blue that we mixed here. Okay, and that's the color of our clouds. So starting off with this cloud on top, we're going to go over what we painted there. And we're going to kind of make our cloud like this. See that? How we have that shape on top? All this is going to be colored in. Okay, same thing over here. We're going to come in and just color that in. And these are going to be two clouds that are going to be painted inwards. Same thing, we're coming in with that dark blue. This line is coming downwards. We're going right in the middle of these two lines. And we're making some more clouds down here. See, one cloud. All this is filled in. And that's all going to be different cloud shapes. Here we go. All right. So let's start playing with those clouds. You're going to see me add a little bit of a white to this blue, a little bit of a lighter blue. I'm going to be adding a little bit of a highlight blue to make it look as if we have some highlights coming in. See, and we're filling in our clouds right now. Okay, and I'm just kind of swooping my brush sideways to create the effect of some of those uneven clouds coming through. Okay. So starting now, I'm coming in with just a little bit of that white. See, I'm starting to add a little bit of white on there, making it stand out up top. Okay, so we're starting to play with these colors up here. So we're going to go in with our dark blue, continue to fill in our clouds in both of those sections. Then we will be using our light white and mixing it with our blue just to get a slight lighter blue to highlight the top and the different sections of our clouds. We are going to remember to add some white where our lightning is coming from, or where it's shining through, just so that it looks like it's really creating an effect within our clouds. We're going to come in with some white and apply that highlight again. You can use your round tip brush to add these details. You don't have to stay with your flat brush, but go in and continue to apply a light highlight and a medium highlight to those clouds. All right, so we're continuing to work on this sky using our blue and our black. We're playing with those highlights, wanting to give the cloud a little bit more of a personality by giving it some shadows and some highlights, some bumps. Our highlights, again, we're using a little bit of white with our dark blue to create a bit of a highlight. If you want to use the plain blue with a little bit of white, you'll get a very light baby blue. And that is totally a color that you can use as well. And it looks really pretty when it's being used on there. So that's also a color you can use, some baby blue. See, and it starts to add a nice little highlight. Coming in with a little bit more of that white. Again, we're using our round tip brush for this. So I'm starting to add a little bit more of a highlight below. That's where we're seeing most of the light. So it is going to be slightly lighter below it. Also come back with a little bit more plain white and add it to where our lightning was coming from. So we're picking up a little bit more of that white, stabbing it around where we had our lightning coming out from. Okay, you can add a little bit of white, making it look as if the light is sort of running around by the clouds. You can come in there with a little bit of that color. Okay, if you want to use a little bit of lavender in your clouds, you can also go ahead and do that on some of the highlighted sections. You can use a little bit of purple with white. Okay, so there we go. We're playing with our clouds. Once we're done with these clouds, I'm gonna wash my brush off, and I'm picking up my detail brush again, and I'm working now on my lightning. So coming in with a little bit of water, I'm gonna come back where I drew my lightning, and I'm gonna go over it a little bit, making it stand out again. Coming back out. Okay, we're gonna come back out with our white, continue to outline this and make it thick. Okay, so in addition to what we already did here with our lightning, we're also going to add a little bit of lightning coming into our clouds. Okay, so we're gonna have some lightning coming over the top here. So we're gonna have just a little arch. This section is gonna kind of work its way around our clouds there. We're also gonna add a little bit of that towards the bottom, coming in towards the right. See? So we also have this section coming out. Let's start off with our detail brush, just so that we make sure that we get that line accurately. We're coming in with our detail brush, and we're picking up some water and some black. Remember, again, we do want our paint to be nice and smooth, hence why we're adding that water. Here we go. Okay, so we're coming in with that black, and we're going to start off at the end of our horizon line here, okay? So we're going to start off on the left, and we're bringing our line all the way down to about maybe halfway, maybe a little bit past halfway. From here, we're going to come in and just do some mountains. It's not really mountains, it's more like some grassy hills. Okay, and we're going to bring it down towards the middle. Next, we're going to begin to fill these in. Okay, again, make sure your paint is nice and soft. By adding some water to it, you want it to be nice and creamy. Okay, so we did that background. If we want to come in and maybe add some lines with our detail brush, we can add a little bit of grassy lines. We're going to come in on this corner and we're going to bring it in, and we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do the hill a little bit smaller. We're not keeping it as big. This over here is more like a distant mountain, what we're seeing on the right hand side here. There we go. Next, I'm washing off my brush and I'm retiring it only for a second. Then I'm bringing in my round tip, Picking up a little bit of water, and I'm continuing to add that to my black. Next, halfway down my canvas, I'm going to leave a little bit of space from the land, maybe about a finger's worth of space before I start off my next island. And my next island is going to be like this, and with maybe 2 fingers worth of space, I'm going to make it round. So this is 2 fingers right there. From here, I'm going to start to bring it across. It doesn't have to be super straight. And you're going to bring it completely across to the other side of the canvas. Here, same thing. We're going to make it just a little bit bigger. And as we get closer to the middle, our line is going to get thinner. As we get closer to the sides, our lines are going to get thicker. So let's come in and paint that in with some black. Okay, we're going to do the same thing towards the bottom. Coming in. And we're going to make our line a little bit thicker towards the top. Bring it down. Thicker towards the middle. It's getting a little bit thinner. And then we're going to bring it close to the blue, but we're not touching the blue. Okay, and then we're filling that bottom with some black as well. Okay, so moving on, I'm picking up a little bit of that black, adding a little bit of water to it. And we're going to start to do our palm tree, starting off with the one on our left. We're bringing in a line, and we're curving it just below our clouds. Okay, again, I'm using my round tip brush for this. Okay, and we don't want to make it too thick. And we're doing this from the middle one. Next, we're going to do another one on the right-hand side. And we're going to curve it sort of on top up here where this cloud is. Okay, so we're coming in on the right, and we're going to curve it about maybe right there. Okay, so this one's a little bit bigger. Make sure that, again, you do have enough black. From here, we're going to go right in the middle, and we're curving up here, right above this section next to our lightning. We're going to curve this palm tree all the way down. Okay, so it's going to go slightly up, and then it's going to start to curve. And we want it to curve right in the middle of our cloud. We don't want it to interrupt any part of it. See that? Next, at the end, on this section, we're going to come in and we're going to do one right about maybe right here, right above this. So we're going to have to go over some of our lightning, and that's fine. Closer to us on this stone, we are going to be doing one about this high from here. We're bringing it down. Okay, it's a little bit closer to us, so it is going to be just a little bit wider. Okay, again, it is closer to us. All right, right next to this, we're going to curve it. We're going to do another one. And that one's going to be towards this side. So we're going to have some of these lines that are going to be overlapping on each other. Okay, and there we go. So from here, I'm going to show you how to make the palm tree leaves, okay? And we're going to be kind of doing this like we paint fireworks, or like if we're painting a spider. Okay, so we're coming in. Okay, and we are going to start off, for example, with this one down here, so you guys can see it a little bit better. And let me zoom in. Okay, so we're starting with this one here in the middle. And what we're going to do is actually this one goes past it a little bit. So let's go past that. Awesome. So from here, we're going to make a line coming down, another one on the side, one going up a little bit, and another one towards the bottom. That's 1, 2, 3. We're going to do the same thing towards the opposite side. We're going to curve it down. 1, 2, 3. You see that? So from each of these lines, we're going to be coming down and adding one more line into the bottom. So we're starting to pull down. You see that? And we have one palm tree leaf there. Next, we're going to come down. And we have another one down right there. Next, on the other side, same thing. If it's curving, on the right-hand side, you make your lines towards the left. If you're curving on the left-hand side, your lines go down towards the right or down towards the bottom. You're following the same curve of that line that's there. Okay, you can make them thick and nice and full, or you can make them thin and sort of loose. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, and we're just going to keep that going right now. Okay, and we have one palm tree left. We're going to keep doing that same design to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 more of these. Okay, so next I'm coming right here in the middle. Same thing, doing a line out, 2, 3. And if I have to override one of them, then that's fine. If I overlap on top of one of them, that's fine. Okay, same thing in the bottom. And then we're doing a line up. And I'm going to continue to add these leaves all around my palm trees. All right, if you're having a little bit of trouble seeing some of your closer palm tree leaves, you can add a little bit of white, just a tiny bit to make it a lighter gray. And you can put that over your palm tree that's closer to the front. Just a little bit to give it just a little bit of a highlight against the black. Okay, so again, we don't want to add a lot. We don't want to make it super obvious. We just want to add a little bit in case you can't really see them. They'll still stand out. Once you go over your palm leaves with your black and your light gray, you can go in with some white and start to bring out the lightning in the background that you might have covered with those palm trees. So this is a perfect time again to add some highlights. Since you have these leaves overlapping on top of each other, you can make the ones that are closer to you with you can make them pop out with a little bit more of a highlight. Okay, so again, that is a light gray, and you only put it on some of the little leaves. You don't put it on all of them. You can scratch it into the mountain in the back, and you can scratch it on the sides of your palm trees and on the bottom of your rocks, just to add a little bit more texture. I added some more of that gray. I came back and I actually scraped some on the sides of my trees just to give it a little bit more of a texture, making it look as if the white is sort of hitting that side more. Again, very lightly, just creating a little bit of a scratch feel on there. On the right hand side, that's where we have our lightning coming in. Okay, same thing on the far end. Maybe we could do a tiny little highlight at the end on the right. We can add some to the left side of the rightmost tree. Again, you don't have to do that, but it is a little extra if you want to. You can even add a little bit of that to the bottom of the ground here to start giving it some texture. Gonna look as if the light is hitting the stone a little bit. You can scratch some of that light gray on there. You can add a little bit of that white also to your leaves. Just a tiny bit again. And there you go. So all you have left to do now is to finish doing these highlights. Then on the right hand side, come in. And with that white or light blue or whatever color you feel comfortable using, you're going to come in with your detail brush. And you're going to put in your signature. All right. And there you go. After this, you are finished.